Zimbabwe, and welcome to MDC Zimbabwe, our current affairs department, where we're looking at issues that are happening in Zimbabwe at the moment. Yesterday we had the announcement of the monetary policy statement by Dr. Mangudya. So right now we want to understand and want to unpack that document and understand what it exactly entails to the people of Zimbabwe. Joining me is Honorable Hon Biti, the MDC Vice National Chairperson and former Finance Minister with us here. Honorable Biti, thank you so much for affording us this opportunity to talk to you.
Good afternoon.
The monetary policy statement yesterday. Do we have a new currency?
Absolutely. And it's called the Real Transfer Growth System, RTGS dollar, the longest named currency in the world.
Yeah.
But it's a disaster. It's a voodoo economics, it's a casino economics, it's feja economics. It's not acceptable, and as Zimbabweans we should reject that.
When you say that there is a new currency coming up on your Twitter account, a lot of people came guns blazing at you and saying you're a joke. And here we are, and there is this RTGS dollar. Had you seen it coming?
Yes, they actually wanted to introduce this new currency at the beginning of February 2019. So, and their logic was very simple, and it is the logic that was played out yesterday. Their logic was that we already had a currency, a fiat currency, a fake currency in the form of the RTGS balances, in the form of the bond notes. So they reckoned that by simply converting the RTGS into a new Zimbabwean dollar, they could get away with it. They also, as John exposed yesterday, they also calculated that of the 11 billion US dollars, so RTGS balances in stock, 90% of them are actually owned and controlled by big players, in particular Delta Corporation, in particular EcoCash, in particular Insco, in particular the Mikus Group through its retail outlets, and the OK Bazaars group. So in fact they started negotiating with these people for a discount on those balances, or for a conversion of those balances into long-term paper. With the rest of us who don't have money, they were just going to compensate, but with a haircut. You get 20% in a dollar or 40 cents in a dollar. But when we tweeted, it threw the cat amongst the pigeons. It was Armageddon. They didn't know how to handle that. So you had a response from John, you had a response from Mutuingube, you had a response from the Ministry of Information, all vigorously denying this.
that.
But 2 weeks later, without shame, they introduced a new currency called the RTGS dollar. Surely they owe Zimbabweans an apology. But the real apology is the fact that they've effectively nationalized, they've effectively devalued every existing balance that was in a bank at the present moment. Because when you put your money in a US dollar account.
Yes.
When you opened your account in 2009, 2010, and thereafter, you put your money in a US dollar account.
Yes.
But suddenly, what you put in there, you put a cow, now you're getting a pig, and an ugly pig called the RTGS
dollar.
So I hope that the legal profession will be mobilized so that we hold accountable this regime. The thing that John doesn't know, the thing that ZANU-PF doesn't know is that leadership consists of two things: responsibility and accountability. This regime is not accountable.
Definitely.
In 2016, against protestations, they introduced the bond notes. And some of us, the market, we told them that the bond note doesn't work. If you put bad money alongside good money, bad money will displace a good money. We told them that there will be shortages. We told them that the paro market rate will emerge. They refused. In fact, John Mangudya put his head on the block.
Yes, and he said, if it doesn't work, I'm going to resign.
He has not resigned. On the contrary, he has gone in to impose more suffering, more decapitation of this economy. Someone should be held to account. Emerson should be held to account. Mutuvi Ngube should be held to account. John Panonetsa Mangudya should be held to account.
Yeah, and we also have this this exchange rate that they've suddenly introduced. Says the money in our account is now the RTGS balance, and we are asking what is the rate between in exchange of the United States dollar, and it says between $3 and $4 to $1 US. Now, is the government going to multiply whatever balances were in our accounts to reflect the new currency regime?
You see, what they've done is very mendacious, it's very dishonest. Because number one, they have not repealed Section 43 of the Reserve Bank Act. Okay. And Section 43 of the Reserve Bank Act is the one that says there is a bond note. Is the one that says this bond note is on par with the US dollar. Yes. So that is still the law of this country. That is still, so technically, come Friday, come any day after the 20th of February 2019, when the monetary policy statement was announced, anyone who therefore sells and trades the US dollar on any exchange rate other than the US one-to-one is actually committing an offense, because Section 43 has not been amended, and only the central bank, so only Parliament can amend that. That's dishonesty number one. Dishonesty number two is that they are still maintaining the export retention scheme. They are still maintaining the export retention scheme. That means that exporters, huge exporters like Zimplats, like the mining houses, still tobacco farmers, they still have their foreign currency being taken by the government. But surely if you have liberalized, then you must allow those companies to keep their foreign currency, so that the excess will then go on the auction market, so that people can buy, including the government. But you cannot retain a control and then at the same time pretend that you have liberalized. You have not liberalized. Once you liberalize both the supply and the demand. So you can't liberalize demand auction, but supply, the exporters, you are taking their money, you are nationalizing their money. And I hope that the big companies, the Zimplats of this world, will for the first time have the courage to go to their lawyers and approach the High Court, approach the Constitutional Court, because this abnormality should not continue. And as I've said before, the RBZ's retention of export earnings is unconstitutional, because any money collected should go to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, should go to Parliament, for accountability. And therefore Parliament should distribute it in the budget in terms of Section 305 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So the Constitution is being broken. But you know what, Yvonne? They are maintaining this artificial exchange rate. They are maintaining it because as long as the US dollar remains a commodity, and as long as some of us or some of them can go to the Reserve Bank and access it at a nominal price, while the rest of us is acquiring it at a premium, there will be arbitrage. And we know who is going to go to the Reserve Bank to get the money. It's ZANU-PF chefs. It's the elites of ZANU-PF. It's the who is who of ZANU-PF, starting with the highest offices in this land. And that's not acceptable. The third thing which they have done, which is unacceptable, which is not allowed by the law, the Reserve Bank has still retained its quasi-fiscal activities. The monetary policy statement says, forget about fuel, about electricity and other commodities, medicines. We'll continue dealing with them in the old manner. In other words, the Reserve Bank will still continue with its quasi-fiscal activities, sourcing money for fuel, sourcing money for energy, sourcing money for drugs and so forth. That is the problem. That is the problem. The Reserve Bank has no business in the business of energy, electricity. Let the market deal with it. In my time, we didn't do it because the market can source if you will. All you need to do, and all that was required, Yvonne, was very simple. Demonetize the bond note. Number two, dollarize the economy. Strengthen the regime of multiple currencies. Number three, protect and ring-fence RTGS balances in people's accounts held in banks. Number four, stop and delete and eliminate the export retention scheme. Number five, pursue macroeconomic stability, in particular fiscal consolidation, because the budget deficit is contributing to this madness. So, as I used to say, live within your means, eat what you kill. If you do that, then prepare to join the Rand Monetary Union, because the US dollar is overvalued. So we need to devalue it by adopting the Rand. But they've gone, instead of dollarizing, they've gone the opposite. They've de-dollarized the economy. So we are back to 2006. We're back to square zero. And you know what happens when we have our own currency. Zeros will increase, hyperinflation will increase, shortages will increase, bastardization will increase. We have a problem of governance in this country. We have a problem of legitimacy in this country. These people have failed. Emerson Mnangagwa is a Rwambiwa, Zamuramba, Zokutonga.
All right, Honorable Biti, there's an element of people being asked to use their US dollars, the Nostro accounts. Maybe you can also help us interrogate further. The 30-day ultimatum to say you must have used up your balances by such and such a time. Can you explain that for us?
What they are saying basically to exporters, that you must use your exports proceed within 30 days, otherwise it goes to the market.
Okay.
Yeah, but or they actually appropriate it. Now, two things arise. Firstly, the monetary policy statement was silent, and this is a very important point, Yvonne. It was quiet and silent on the exchange rate to be used between the US dollar earned by the exporter and the rate to be used by the Reserve Bank when it takes over that money. And I still maintain that that is the reason why they've maintained the artificial one bond, one US, because they want to steal the monies of exporters. They will buy that, they will appropriate that at the rate of US 1:1. Secondly, there's something wrong and unconstitutional if you have to determine the manner and the process and speed to which I should spend my money. And with many of these companies, their orders take a long time to place. So 30 days is a small window. So once again, I hope that these companies will have the courage to go to banks. But there's another point which arises. You recall that in the last monetary policy statement of October 2018, John Panonetsa Mangudya created two accounts.
Yes.
The RTGS, a Nostro RTGS, and the Nostro FCA. Yes. Now I want to warn Zimbabweans. I'm not a prophet, but I'm not a marabout, but most things that I say come true. Those of us who are keeping money as Nostro FCA, this regime is going to run out of money, and as has happened in the past, those accounts will be expropriated. Mark my words.
And we've seen the movements that the government has been doing to other nations with their so-called mega deals are happening and stuff, and they are taking money from those same accounts, paying in foreign currency for the chartered planes that they use, Honorable. How confident can the people of Zimbabwe be that they'll have money on the market?
Yeah, so you raise two things. First is the capacity of Zimbabwe to attract foreign direct investment. The Mugabe, who was attracting an average of 400 million US dollars per year, according to UNCTAD, the United Nations Commission for Trade and Development. With Emerson, we are attracting zero. There is no one who puts money in a country where you cannot get that money out, where you can't even get that money out of a bank. It doesn't happen. There's no one who put money in a country where you are raping women, you are assaulting people, you are torturing people, You are conducting mass trials. You are shutting down the internet. Who does that for Christ's sake in this day and age? So investment will not come in. There is no one who put money in a country where the macroeconomic situation is such a terrible disequilibrium. You have got a government that spends money as if it goes on trees. You have got a government that spends money and eats money as if it's consuming an aphrodisiac. It won't happen. You will not attract a single cent. Then the second thing which you raise is the extravagance of the regime. How does the president of one of the poorest, or rather the self-proclaimed president of one of the poorest countries on the African continent, goes to Russia with a begging bow, but riding a Dreamliner that costs $74,000 per hour to hire? It eludes my wisdom. It's total and absolute craziness. The optics are not right. And so even Mugabe, who used to hire and abuse his old 1976 Boeing 707, was better. This is shameless. This is a shame. This is unacceptable.
And we have people who actually are dying in a mine on the battlefield, and the government is coming out and saying, can you assist us with $100,000?
Yvonne, this regime is committing slow genocide against the people of Zimbabwe. There is a Gukura Wundi in slow motion being implemented and perpetrated by Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa and the rest of his crew. Number one, you have a total collapse of the health system. There are no drugs. The few that are there are being sold in US dollars to a population wherein 95% of it are unemployed. 76% of it are living in extreme poverty, surviving on less than US 35 cents a day. Chitungwiza is the capital city of Taona, accident, where people survive on 35 cents a day. A little cock of cooking fat, a little plate of cooking meal, and 4 leaves of vegetable. That's how our people are living. So look now at the social indices. The infant mortality rates, 96 out of 1,000 the babies are dying upon birth. Look at the maternal mortality rates. 87 mothers out of 1,000 are dying on giving childbirth. Look at the life expectations. Look at for both men and women. Before the GNU, the life expectancy had lowered to 34 for men and 30 for women. We increased that during the GNU. It went back into the 50s. Now it's crawling now 38 for men, 36 for women. Slow genocide. Then you've got road traffic accidents. Then you've got the mining disasters, including the one at Battlefield. The president, the self-proclaimed president of the country, did not even go to visit those people. The biggest disease affecting this country is a crisis of legitimacy, a crisis of governance. But the number one thing is that these people have no love for the people. These people have no love for the people. That's why they'll shoot 6-7 civilians as they did on the 1st of August 2018. That's why they'll shoot civilians, hundreds of civilians, after the 12th of January 2019. That's the problem with our country. We are being run by a rogue regime that has no love or solidarity for the people. What kind of a regime unleashes the army on its people? It's unheard of. It's barbaric. So we have a problem. We have a serious problem in this country.
Now to wrap up, Honorable Biti, I want to talk about the latest conviction that was handed out to you at the court for announcing the presidential results. What does that mean to you as a lawyer, as a member of parliament, and as a citizen of this nation?
Look, I've been convicted. It's obviously going to affect my profession, my right to look after my family. I'm not sure whether the Law Society of Zimbabwe will renew my practicing certificate. But at least I'm alive, Yvonne. There are some people who have paid with their lives. I think that what is happening is unacceptable. you cannot have the systematic assault and closure of a political party. All our senior leaders, we've got 48 MPs right now, that are either in remand or out of remand or facing trials. We have over 20-30 councillors that are either on remand or facing trial. Mugabe was better. Mugabe regarded the MDC as an inconvenience, but an inconvenience all the same that he could not wish away, that he could not rub us. The problem with Emerson and his lot is that they regard the MDC as cockroaches. They regard us as illegitimates. So they want us to see being totally crushed, totally squashed like cockroaches. But I've got a message for him. It will not happen. The MDC is so huge. The people of Zimbabwe are so huge. They want change. They want legitimacy. They want their majigisi that we got for on the 30th of July 2018.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Biti, for that wonderful time. We pray that everything will work out for the good of Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe, that is just a tip of what we have experienced with the MPS that was announced yesterday by Dr. John Mangudya. Thank you so much for joining us. We meet again on other platforms. God bless you.